Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Jason McKie in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, we got football. Football is back this Sunday. I cannot wait to see the Chicago Bears take on the Tennessee Titans. And with that being said, we got to talk about our biggest keys to a Chicago Bears victory. What do we need to see the Chicago Bears do versus this Tennessee Titans team to start off the season 1-0, especially in a home game? And joining me as always on a Wednesday, Jason McKie in the building. J-Mac, what's going on, my guy?
Pat, man, shades look good. You're definitely ready for football. I got the shades out. It may be sunny on Sunday. Pat, the designer, will be in full effect. And I think this game is a must-win for the Bears. I think it's a must-win. There's not. You got to start out the season 1-0, especially at home. You know what I mean? A team in which the Bears, I think, are going to be favored to beat. But don't get it twisted. Tennessee's got some firepower. They're going to be a well-coached team. These two teams met last year as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. There's a lot of things that got to go right for the Bears, a lot of questions. They won't all be answered. It's still week one, but they'll start to get answered on Sunday versus the Titans.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the thing, right? Can you start to answer those questions early? All we did in week one of last season was create more questions. And let's hope we don't do that again. If you haven't done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. Let's jump in, J-Mac. What do we need to see versus this Tennessee Titans team? Number one thing that you need to see versus this Titans team to feel good that the Bears are going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, all signs point to Caleb Williams. So let me go on the other side of the ball. Well, now we're going to talk about Caleb Williams more, but I want to talk about this Bears defense, right? And I want to see this defense pick up where they left off. Being one of the top defenses in the league, the second half of the season generated a lot of takeaways. Montez Sweat trade really helped ignite a defense. It changed the identity of a defense. Became the defense that Coach Flus envisioned when he came here. You added a lot of new pieces. You got some young guys. Some guys second year in the same system. Those guys being Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. They're in the same system for the second year. And then guys who've been in this league for a long time, guys that you drafted a few years back, is just going to get more comfortable. You look at Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker. It's going to be Tyreek Stevenson's second year in this defense. So he's going to feel more comfortable. And I want to see this defense get after it, because when you look at Tennessee, right, they got some firepower. They got Tony Pollard they brought over from the Dallas Cowboys. You got Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tyler Boyd, three very productive receivers in this league. It's going to be tough. You got Will Levis, a young quarterback, but this Titans offense, they got some pieces, man. They definitely got some pieces. So it's going to be interesting to see, Montez Sweat, can he pick up where he left off? Who's going to be playing the opposite of Montez Sweat? It's probably going to be DeMarcus Walker. Can DeMarcus Walker, actually start, beating some one-on-ones with all the attention being placed on Montez Sweat? Can DeMarcus Walker get some pressure on the quarterback? So I want to see what this defense is going to do in the opener against the Titans.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the thing that's the most interesting, right? When we talk about the Titans, in our minds, we're like, the Titans. I'm not worried about the Titans. Like, it's still the same old Titans. You better worry about the Titans a little bit, because if we're being 100% honest, the Titans have put Will Levis in a very similar position that the Bears have put Caleb Williams in. When I looked at this offense, listen, Tony Pollard had a little bit of a down season last year, and I think that he's probably the person I'm worried about least, because I think that running on this Bears defense is an exercise in futility. When you've got Andrew Billings in the middle, how Javon Dexter has come along, I think that the Bears are going to be a really stout run team, especially if you try to run them up the middle to the outside. We got linebackers that can tackle all over the place, so I feel good about that. But then you look at that receiving core, and you're like, oh wait, it's some names over here, right? Like I don't know if D-Hop is slated to play just yet, but you got D-Hop over there. You've got Boyd. You've got Calvin Ridley. Like, these are names that we talked about the Bears possibly going out and getting when we needed wide receiver help. These are good wide receivers. I think DeAndre Hopkins, when healthy, is still one of the best guys on the field. It's going to be a very similar situation for Will Levis to say, set hut, oh snap, I don't know where I'm supposed to go here, but there's DeAndre Hopkins streaking down the right sideline. I think that the DBs are going to have a day set out for them. My most important player early on in this season, my most important piece that I think the Bears are really going to have stand out is Tyreek Stevenson to me, because I think that when you look Jalen Johnson's way, most quarterbacks aren't going to look Jalen Johnson's way. they're going to go, we know what he is as a PBU guy. We know what he is as a coverage guy. We know that he can get you that coverage sack. So we're not going to spend too much time looking that way. I'm looking at Tyreek. I'm looking at Kyler Gordon. I'm trying to put the ball in there on receivers that are being guarded by them, that are being played by them. I think that they're going to have to stand out immediately in this first game, because if not, you're going to have some guys that could be streaking down the sidelines.
Yeah, and look at the matchups, right? Let's talk about the offensive line in particular versus the Bears defensive line, right? Tennessee invested a first round pick in J.C. Latham, the left tackle out of Alabama, right? They also
I
invested a
love
first
Jason
round
Latham
pick
too. Yeah.
in the left guard and Peter Skoronsky out of Northwestern. You know what I'm saying? They got I think it was a second round pick out of North Dakota State, and Dylan Radunes at a right guard. You know what I mean? So they've got some young offensive linemen that were highly touted coming out that are continuing to develop as well. A good matchup to watch is J.C. Latham on DeMarcus Walker. You know what I'm saying? Latham's a big athletic guy. DeMarcus Walker is a veteran. He's been in the league for a long time. You know, can he win that one-on-one matchup? You know, we'll see what happens on Sunday. So I think you got to look at a lot of those matchups, and we know Coach Flus does a great job of putting together a game plan defensively, right? So I can see the Bears, you know, they've got to be able to get pressure with their front four on Will Levis. You know what I mean? You cannot let him sit back there and gain confidence. The more completions he hits, the more confidence any quarterback is going to get, but especially a young quarterback like a Will Levis, he's going to get comfortable. So they got to be able to create pressure with their front four. I know Flus does not want to rely on bringing second level pressure with the linebackers, but also third level pressure. You know, bringing Jaquan Brisker down in the box, something we saw early on last season, which hurt the Bears because they couldn't get pressure with the front four, so they started bringing linebackers, they started bringing safeties down, and then that secondary started to get exploited. But you see what happens when they were able to bring in a guy like Montez Sweat that could generate pressure with that front four. Then we saw the takeaways start coming, and they came in bunches because you had a guy that commanded attention that was getting pressure on quarterbacks. And if we can do that, I think the Bears will be fine. But if we can't get pressure, you know, I think Tennessee will have some success against this Bears defense.
Yeah, and I'll say this: most important player that you got to see something from, Javon Dexter. Show up day one.
Yeah.
You got to get that pressure up the middle. Force Will Levis to have to make quick decisions, and force Will Levis to have to throw over you. I think it was so interesting when we talked to Andrew Billings, you know, about the improvement that Javon Dexter has made and how he talked about with Dexter. Basically, he's never going to be able to get his pad levels as low as I am. It's why I think he's 5'10" basically and pure muscle. So he's never going to be able to get his pad levels as low as I am because he's 6'6". But what he can do is he can force that pocket backwards. If he gets to a stalemate, just get the hands up. That's something we saw him do consistently at practice, something that we saw him do at an elite level at practice. Need to see that in the games as well, because when you're 6'6", you put your hands straight up in the air, more times than not, good things are going to happen. That could force those tip passes that end up getting picked off underneath. That could force the quarterback just to have to move around in the pocket because he's got to get around those giant arms, right? Like, Will Levis is a solid quarterback, but I don't know if he's to the point yet where I'm like, he's just going to be able to launch it over Javon Dexter and just have a cannon to drop it in the bucket. I don't know if he's that level of quarterback just yet. I think that they're building him up to try and be that, which is good to see. But at the end of the day, if Javon Dexter keeps pressuring Will Levis's face, it is going to force sacks left and right, because Montez Sweat is somebody who you just don't have to worry about him. He does his job. He does it well. And if you give him that second where the quarterback has to think, he can create that pressure as well.
Yeah, and I think with the first thing the Bears will do, and I know Coach Eberflus always has a good plan, and the Bears have shown they've been consistently good against the run. You know, they brought in Tony Pollard, the Tennessee Titans, in free agency, and you also have a young guy. I think it's the second year in Tyjae Spears. He was out of I think Tulane. We had a really good season last year, so you bring in a veteran who's had success in this league. You got a young running back that showed a lot of playmaking ability as a rookie last year. You know, you got to be able to stop those guys, right? And when you have a young quarterback's best friend is a solid, adequate run game. And Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears are two capable backs of being able to move the chains consistently against the Bears defense. So, you know, you got to take away one thing. You got to make them one-dimensional. You know, I know Coach Eberflus definitely wants to put the ball in Will Levis' hands and say, you know what, if you're going to beat us, it's going to be from within the pocket. We're going to take away the running game. Let's see if you can sit in the pocket, diagnose coverages, beat the blitz consistently, and make plays to beat this Bears defense. And I don't think Will Levis can do that. So And I know the main thing, in my opinion, that Coach Eberflus is preaching up there is, hey, we got to take away the run. We got to make Tony Pollard a non-factor along with Tyjae Spears.
Yeah, and it comes down to, listen, we've seen this here. We saw this last year, right? Quarterbacks that we're like, that quarterback's not good. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we don't have to worry about him. We as long as we get pressure on him, he's a sitting duck back there. But then you don't get pressure on him. And all of a sudden, the quarterbacks that you think are the worst guys in the league are picking you apart. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen with this DB group that we have, but I think the flip side of that is, right, you do have to maintain that pressure.
Yep.
It is something where you can't let Will Levis sit back there and operate in the pocket. Like you said, that's where Flus wants him at, but he doesn't want him just sitting back there having a good time, making a couple of sandwiches and then getting time to throw the football. Yeah, I mean, like, and I think that's the part again where you talk about things you need to see hitting the ground running,
Mm-hmm.
more pressure on the quarterback. Dare I say, I'm looking at this coaching staff. I'm looking at Coach Flus to see if he's going to continue to dial up the pressure if those front four can't get there. I understand we want them to get there. I understand that you need them to get there. But at the end of the day, you have to address your wants and needs based on what's actually happening on the field. If Montez Sweat, if Javon Dexter, if DeMarcus Walker are not getting home, will we see Flus dial up some of those blitzes that we saw in the preseason with Eric Washington, even though Flus did some as well in the first half of that Buffalo game. He said that he called that first half of the Buffalo game. But are you going to see him kind of adjust off of that quickly, or is he going to sit there and say, nope, we got to get pressure with our front four? If we lose this game because we're not getting pressure with our front four, we lose this game playing our way. I don't think that that's logical.
Nah, he's gonna do. I mean, he's a smart coach, and the greatest coaches in this league are the ones that make the right adjustments or make those timely adjustments when necessary, right? And there's one thing to be stubborn, but at the same time, we're playing to win. So if I can get pressure with my front four, well, guess what? We got some guys in that secondary that are very adequate at blitzing, that are very good at blitzing. You look at Kyler Gordon, look at Jaquan Brisker, who've had success in the past of being able to, time up a blitz and beat a running back in protection, or time up a blitz and disguising it well and confusing quarterbacks. So, we'll see those things. And you also have two linebackers that are really good blitzers as well. I mean, how many times have we seen TJ Edwards last year just destroy a running back in protection and cause havoc for quarterbacks? So the good thing is, like I keep saying, like, this is a defense, right? And it's I'm not going to say it's similar to the defense that I played, but it's similar in the fact that you have blue chip players at every level of this defense, right?
Right.
Montez Sweat defensive line. You've got two blue chip linebackers in this league, and TJ and Tremaine. And then you have a blue chip player in terms of Jalen Johnson. Now, you have some young ascending players that are on their way to possibly being blue chip players. And I would say Kyler Gordon first and Jaquan Brisker second. Jaquan Brisker, his health is the only thing that I personally put in question. Can he stay healthy? If he can, I think he can be one of the elite safeties in this league, but he's got to stay on the field. So that's a good thing that Coach Flus has at his disposal. And Austin Booker is going to be an X factor. How are they going to use Austin Booker? He's going to be a situational pass rusher in which he comes in on third down. You know what I mean? If DeMarcus Walker isn't getting pressure consistently, do we have the confidence enough to be able to put the young guy in to give a change up and see if we can get some type of pass rush out there on J.C. Latham? So we could see rookie on rookie. We could see Austin Booker on J.C. Latham. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how this game goes. So it's going to be a lot of things. It's going to be a chess match for sure. Coach Flus, I've got all the confidence in him in the world in terms of the defense, because now he has a lot of good playmakers at his disposal, and he's shown that he's been putting together good defensive game plans. Like, the defense with him hasn't really been the biggest question mark since his tenure at head coach. He's put together some adequate defenses. It's just been a question of, to start the season, can he get pressure, on quarterbacks? And once they brought in Montez Sweat, all those questions, they went out the window. Became one of the top defenses in the league. And we've seen that throughout training camp. They made play after play after play in preseason as well. You had guys fighting to make this roster, making plays. And that's why cut down day was so hard for GM Ryan Poles and assistant GM Ian Cunningham, because you had so many guys on this roster make play after play when the number was called, because of the scheme and because of the competition that they brought in the Chicago Bears organization.
When you look at offensively on this team, there's a lot of expectation placed on this offense because of the names that have been brought in. What are your expectations week one? Do you feel like this is an offense that has to hit the ground running? Do you feel like this is an offense that maybe Bears fans need to give it time to gel, or do you feel like they've done enough where you can say, hey, week 1, let's get after it, boys?
You got to score points. You got to put together drives. And I think, one of the biggest matchups I look at, in this game, and the funny thing, it involves Caleb Williams and a former Bear. And that former Bear is Chris Harris, who is the Tennessee Titans passing game, defensive pass game coordinator. So, Chris Harris is a smart player, extremely intelligent player, playing safety here for the Bears for a long time.
Yeah.
He understands coverages. He understands, what disguises he can use to confuse young quarterbacks. And it's going to be a chess match with him and Shane Waldron and Caleb Williams. What type of coverages or combination coverages is Chris going to run to try to confuse a young rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams? So it's gonna they got to score points, man. They got to be able to move the ball. New offensive system with Shane Waldron, but we saw a lot of inconsistency last year, and the biggest thing that we want to see is that I want to see from a young quarterback is we know he can make the unscripted plays, the off schedule plays. I want to see if he can play on schedule, right? Three-step drop, get the ball out, diagnose the defense, put the ball where it needs to be, take what the defense is giving you. I don't want to see him just, trying to force plays when unnecessary, rolling out of the pocket, scrambling, rolling out, trying to throw the ball 60 yards downfield when he has a clean pocket. You know what I'm saying? And he's got the receivers that can help him. I mean, he's got a receiver in Keenan Allen who's very quarterback friendly. He's going to be where he's going to be. Can he play the game from within the pocket on schedule and make plays consistently, lead drives, put points on the board? Like we need touchdowns, not field goals.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that to me, right? When you look at Caleb, I love that people are starting to get. I don't want to say nervous, but like I saw a article come out from ESPN where basically it took every team and it talked about what may be their weaknesses to start the season. And the one thing that was one of the starts was, Caleb Williams may take a bunch of unnecessary sacks to start the season because he holds the football too long. Because a lot of the same stuff we heard about Justin Fields. And I just got to put this out there, and maybe I'll be proven wrong at the end of the day. But listen, a lot of quarterbacks that hold the football too long in this NFL to make plays with it. If he makes plays, that's the difference. Don't take every situation as the same. Pat Mahomes holds the football a heck of a long time. You know what Pat Mahomes does? He goes out there, he throws dots, and he wins freaking Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I would love to see Caleb Williams do that. But it's like you said, Pat Mahomes also understands when he needs to be in the pocket, when he needs to stay in the pocket. And that is something I would like to see from Caleb early on this season. I don't mind you holding the football long if you're able to make a play from it, because I think that is just what the modern era of quarterback is becoming. Everybody's sitting there and saying, well, Tom Brady said the football needs to be out in 2.5 seconds. Well, Tom Brady can't move. If Tom Brady leaves the pocket, he's probably about to die. So you're not dealing with that kind of quarterback in this NFL anymore. You've got your Jalen Hurtses. You've got your Josh Allens, who gets talked about for holding the football too long, right? And it's not to say that, right, I think with Justin Fields, we got into that. He holds the football too long because he was missing guys that were open. We haven't really seen that a ton from Caleb. We haven't seen that from him in college, I should say, right? Where he's just missing these wide open guys because he's holding the football too long. Usually he's holding the football too long because there are bodies falling around him and he's trying to make a play. So I think understanding, okay, I got a clean pocket, like you said, and this is where I need to be in it and make the play and make the right throw and make it quickly. But I'm okay with the pocket's kind of falling apart. I got to hold on to this thing. Let's move around. Up, there's Keenan Allen coming wide open across the middle. Let's throw that in there.
Yeah, and the good thing is, we saw a mixture of both this preseason. We've seen him scramble out of the pocket, make some great throws down the field, and we've seen him play within the pocket, show that pocket awareness, that pocket presence, and deliver the ball to those receivers once they come open. So I think the main thing is I'm interested to see what type of game plan Shane Waldron puts together. Early on, like in terms of the passing game, are you dialing something up to get Caleb comfortable? To get his easy completion, to get his confidence up, and how committed are you going to stick to the run game if it's not working? You know what I mean? You've got a lot of good backs in that room. How committed are you to this run game? Because it's going to be very necessary for this run game to be successful to take those shot plays down the field that you want from Caleb Williams. You know what I mean? In order to do that, the run game's got to be successful. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of game plan that Waldron puts together. He's going to be pass happy because it's the official debut of Caleb Williams in a regular season game, Are you going to play within the system? Get the runs called to set up the pass, or are you going to use the pass to set up a run? We'll see what happens.
Waldron feels like the kind of guy that like is going to run a trick play on the first play, don't he? He feels like he's that dude that like he's gonna set up the flea flicker, and all of a sudden you just got like DJ Moore down the right sideline, and Caleb lets it fly. I feel that from Shane Waldron. I feel big playability play one.
It's funny because you can get coordinators just like, the first play of the game, we're taking a shot. We're throwing the ball deep. I don't care what the coverage is. We're gonna let them know that, hey, we will take the top off this defense. You know what I mean? Like I really don't know. I don't know.
And then they never do it again.
Right. And then every pass of that is under 5 yards. I don't know, man. Like I'm excited to see what type of offense we're going to see, because we've seen, like, when you look at this offense in preseason, it's very vanilla, it's basic. You're not showing anything. You want to put on tape against another opponent the base concepts that you're running, the base fundamentals of your defense, the core runs, the core route concepts, the basic protections. But now you're actually going into full game plan mode to where you're dissecting every single aspect of your opponent. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to find all the weaknesses in that defense that you're going to face. And, you have a young quarterback. Coach Morgan, I think Coach Chris Morgan, the offensive line coach, is the most important person in this game, because, when you have a young quarterback, the main thing that defensive coordinators want to do is they want to get his jersey dirty. They want to bring pressure. They want to hit him early and often. So, what type of protections does Chris Morgan have with that offensive line? But also, what type of calls from Shane Waldron are they going to, implement in the passing game? Are they going to move the pocket? Are they going to keep him in the pocket? 3-step drop, different things like that to where he's not just sitting in the same spot for this defensive line to tee off on him, the whole game. So I think we're going to see a little bit of both. That's something that we saw in preseason. We've seen Caleb, boot. We've seen him sprint out. We've seen him roll out. We've seen a lot of different things. We've seen him just play within the structure of a pocket. I think that's Caleb's game. I think he can do all of those things really well, but it's up to Shane Waldron to put his guys in position to make those plays. And you got a lot of weapons. You got an opportunity to spread the ball around. This game it could be DJ. Next game it could be Keenan. It could be Cole. You've got a playmaker in DeAndre Swift, the guy that can take it, like we say back in Florida, can take it 88 out the gate. It means you give him the ball and he can hit that home run. And you know what I'm saying? He's out the gate for 88 yards for a touchdown. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I'm excited to finally, get to see Caleb Williams in an entire game in its entirety. And there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. And we've only seen a glimpse of him handle, pressure at home, right? He started off the last preseason game, things wasn't going their way. And then he came back and hit some home run balls to Rome and stuff like that. We're going to get to see it for a full game. There's going to be drives where they don't get anything. And there's going to be drives where they, times where they move the ball down the field and score. Let's see what we get.
Yeah, and hopefully there's more of the drive the ball down the field and score drives than the other.
I love Cairo. I love Cairo, but I'd be happy with Cairo just kicking off. You know what I mean, Cairo? Like extra
kicking
points.
off, get some XPs in there.
Yeah,
I mean, get a few XPs
out, man. We got this, Cairo. Sit down, man.
J-Mac, all I'm saying is I'm tired of my kicker being the highest scorer on the team at the end of every season, bro.
We need touchdowns, man. I just need to see some touchdowns, man. I need to see that scoreboard lit up.
The one thing I also want to see, though, is and you mentioned it in Shane Waldron, is with him, something we didn't see from Luke Getsy last season was an understanding of the pocket you have. It felt like he was calling plays based on how things should work, right? As somebody who was blue collar, we had the managers who were like that, or the foremen who were like that basically would be like, well, this is how this should work. And then you go, well, did you go look at it? Because it ain't gonna work that way. And we got 3 bodies over here, we got 2 bodies over here, and all of them are on the ground. I want to see Shane Waldron call a game based on how the team is playing week 1. And to me, that means with the pocket, right? I've still got questions on this offensive line, massive questions on this offensive line. A lot of them do stem from health. I think that talent-wise, you feel better about it, right? Listen, as far as right guards go, Nate Davis is not a horrible right guard. It's just you would like to see him out there more consistent so that he can build up those reps with the team that you have out there. Tevin Jenkins, same way, right? Braxton Jones, yes, Braxton Jones. I'm glad he finally stopped saying I'm getting cooked on the bull rush. But dare I say, he even looks a little bit better at dealing with the bull rush this season, at least in preseason, than we saw in years past. There's still a long way to go with that, but like when you see the offensive line, if they're struggling, last year it just felt like just keep dropping Justin back. Just keep dropping Justin back because Justin can do something with his legs that can end up being magic. I don't want to see that this season from Shane Waldron. I love the fact that we saw the naked boots. I love the fact that we saw him even in some of the run plays, right? Utilizing boss, right? Like utilizing things that are going to help your playmakers be playmakers, like you said. Like that's what I want to see from Shane Waldron on a consistent basis, and it's something I don't know that we've seen from OCs for a while here in the city.
Yeah, just making the in-game adjustments. That's what it's about. I mean, that's why after every series, you're on the sideline with your position group, the OCs with the quarterbacks and the quarterback coach, and what did we see? What did they give us? What are they trying to take away? How can we exploit them? Where's the mismatch? All those things play a factor in trying to put together an adequate game plan to put your guys in a position to succeed and to make plays and to put points on the scoreboard. So, it's going to be Shane Waldron's debut. A lot of offensive coordinators have had a rough go here in Chicago. And, Shane Waldron next in line, no excuses, number one pick. We brought in Keenan. Cole Kmet's had a great year last year. You drafted number 9, Rome Odunze. There's no excuses, Shane. We've got plenty of guys for you to go out there and to put points on the scoreboard. What's the excuse if you don't?
It's so, bro, whose offense is this? Like this feels so weird. Like you got Keenan Allen, you got DJ Moore, you got Roma Dunze, you got Caleb Williams, you got my God.
If you're back in the day, Roy Jones from my hometown was one of the guys I idolized. He fought Antonio Tarver, right? And he fought him for the second time. And the first time Roy got knocked out by Antonio Tarver. So the second fight, as they're coming up to touch gloves, Antonio Tarver says, "You got any excuses tonight, Roy?" You know what I'm saying? So if I'm the defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson for Tennessee, before the game, I'm going to Shane Waldron and say, "Hey, Shane, you got any excuses today, Shane? The pressure's on Shane, man. You got all the guys. Like come on, man. You got playmakers everywhere.
Yeah,
you got a back that can do everything." Right, he can also be effective in the passing game. You got Keenan, who had 1,000 yards last year. DJ had 1,000 yards last year. You got Cole Kmet, is not the best tight end, but he's one of the better tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
You got the number 9 pick in Rome Odunze. You got any excuses tonight, Shane?
Well, the offensive line fell over.
I want to hear that. That's an excuse.
Hey, man, we'll see what this Tennessee team does. We got a couple more days until the game gets here, but football returns tomorrow. The NFL season starts Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, and we can't wait to cover all of it. And of course, we're going to have everything Chicago Bears here over on the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. For Jason McKie, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.